It was a Thursday evening in early autumn, the kind where the sky turns a deep shade of blue before darkness fully takes over, and the rain had been falling all afternoon. I had been home since late morning, working on some paperwork for my small desk, near the living room window. The house was quiet, except for the steady hum of the refrigerator and the gentle tapping of raindrops against the glass. My neighborhood in Willow Creek wasn't the kind of place where you expected anything out of the ordinary. It was a sleepy suburb outside of Madison, Wisconsin, where people still waved to each other from their driveways, and the mailman knew everyone's name. I was alone that night because my roommate, Sarah, was out visiting her sister in Chicago for the weekend. Normally, I didn't mind the solitude. I enjoyed the way the house seemed to breathe more slowly when it was just me. But that evening, something in the air felt different, though I couldn't put my finger on it. Maybe it was the weather. A constant, soaking rain mixed with occasional gusts of wind that rattled the siding. Or maybe it was just the fact that I had been cooped up too long. I made myself a cup of tea and settled into the couch with a blanket, flipping through a book I had been meaning to finish. The clock on the wall ticked toward 8:30. Outside, the street lamps cast pale circles of light onto the wet pavement. Everything seemed calm until I heard the first knock. It wasn't loud, but in a quiet house it felt like it came from right beside me. 3 slow taps on the front door. My first thought was that it might be a delivery mix-up. Maybe a package left late in the evening. But when I peeked through the blinds, I didn't see anyone. No carriddling by the curb. No figure walking up the driveway. I stood there for a moment, listening. The rain covered most distant sounds, but I could swear I heard faint footsteps on the porch. I unlocked the door just enough to call out, "Hello, can I help you?" My voice sounded smaller than I intended. For a few seconds there was no response. Then, Aman's voice, low and deliberate, said, "Evening, ma'am. Sorry to bother you. I'm looking for someone, and I think they used to live here." I opened the door, a little wider, enough to see him. He was standing just at the edge of the porch light, tall and wearing a dark raincoat with a hood pulled low. I could see his jawline, but not his eyes. Something about the way he didn't step closer struck me as odd. Most people would move forward under the light when speaking. "This house has been mine for 3 years," it told him. "I don't know who lived here before that." He tilted his head slightly, as if studying me. "Her name was Emily," he said. "Emily Parker. You don't. Nowhere." I shook my head. "No, sorry. I've never heard that name." For a moment, neither of us spoke. The rain seemed louder between us. Then he said, She might have left something here. Something important." A small chill went through me. "Well, if you tell me what it is, I can check," I offered, but he only smiled faintly. Not warmly, but like he knew something I didn't. "It's okay. Maybe I'll come back another time." He turned slowly and walked down the steps into the rain without another word. I closed the door quickly, locking it twice. My heartbeat felt uncomfortably fast. I told myself it was just a random stranger with a strange way of speaking, maybe a little socially awkward, but deep down something didn't feel right. About half an hour later, just as I was starting to relax again, I heard it. The faint crunch of footsteps on the side of the house. Not the front porch this time, the side. I muted the TV and strained to listen. There it was again. Slow steps, too deliberate to be the wind-moving debris. I grabbed my phone and quietly moved to the window, overlooking the backyard. At first, I didn't see anything. Then, from behind the old oak tree, the figure emerged, the same raincoat could still up. He was standing perfectly still, looking toward the house. Not toward the windows, toward the back door. I froze. The only light was from the kitchen, and I realized it was casting my shadow on the curtain. If he was looking at the door, he could see me moving inside. I stepped back slowly, heart pounding, and dialed 911. The operator answered quickly, and I explained in a low voice that someone had been at my door earlier asking, strange questions, and was now in my backyard. She told me to stay on the line, keep all the doors locked, and that a patrol car was only a few minutes away. I waited in the dark, crouched near the hallway, every creak of the house making my chest tighten. When the flashing lights finally painted the street outside, I felt a rush of relief, but it faded almost immediately. The officers searched the yard and Thess Street, but they didn't find him. No footprints, no sign of a car leaving, just wet grass and the steady sound of rain. Before they left, one of the officers, a tall man named Officer Reynolds, asked me to describe the visitor. When I mentioned the name Emily Parker, his expression shifted just slightly. "Why do you think he asked about her?" he said. I told him I had no idea, but I asked why it mattered. He hesitated, then said, "That name's come up before in another case, but I can't say much more right now." That night, I didn't sleep. The rain kept falling, but now every sound felt like a whisper of movement outside. I kept wondering, who is Emily Parker? And why did a stranger come to my door looking for her?